So let's talk about cold email. Certainly one of my favorites. And about a year ago, it was very easy to go and originate deals. I could probably get about 10 to 20 responses a day using this. Now it's a lot more difficult for many reasons, and we'll talk about that. So what is cold email? Well, cold in that they don't know you, right? This is not a warm outreach. This is going to someone who has no idea who you are. We need to overcome that. We're going to send them a sequence of emails, unlike sending a letter where you just send off one letter and hope you get a response. We're going to send a sequence of responses, somewhere between probably 3 and 5, I'd recommend. And we need some software, cold email software, that allows us to do this. Although I'd recommend, if this is your very first time looking into cold email, I'd recommend maybe trying to send 10 manually, get a feel for it, get a feel for the feedback, and go from there. So unlike letters, we talked about the pyramid earlier. Letters is right at the top, right? There's a limit to how many you can send physically and probably in monetary terms. Cold email is really cheap. You can send thousands. You could send several hundred a day, although I don't recommend doing that for several reasons. I think actually one of the big reasons being that if you are successful, you don't want to be dealing with 20 business owners a day. That's too much to handle. So start small and grow, and we're going to walk through this. As I said earlier, the rules have changed. This is currently November 24, so what worked 6 months ago certainly doesn't work now. So the ESPs, so that's different to your ISP, the email service provider. They've got smarter and smarter. Their role is to make sure that only relevant email lands in your inbox. And we've been using AI, and for sure the ESPs are using AI to detect AI, and you don't want to end up in the spam folder or promotions folder, right? So the rules have completely changed. The things I was telling people to do 6 months ago, they just don't work anymore. It's a completely different game now. So what do you need for cold email? Well, you need a new domain, a new email address. Certainly don't risk your own email or email domain for this. Reason being is that if it does get flagged as spam, if you do make a mistake, you can just disregard that domain, or you can spend a few months recovering it. Cold email is risky. You can get flagged as spam, and you don't want to be using a domain that you use for everyday business in that. So I'd recommend you go and buy 3 to 5 domains. Don't even make them similar to main domain. Let's not have any kind of connection that maybe an ESP could pick up. So go buy 3 to 5 domains. Buy them from a reputable supplier. The more reputable your ESP is, the more likely you are going to be to land in their inbox. And I'd recommend about 3 emails per domain. So you've got 5 domains, attach 3 email addresses to that. I'd recommend making up 3 names of people that work within your origination team. So 5 domains, 3 email addresses, you've got 15 names to reach out to. So you bought your domains, you set up your email addresses, and you need to make sure that 4 things are configured correctly. It's SPF, DMARC, DKIM, and MX. So SPF specifies your allowed IP addresses to send emails from your domain. DMARC is rules for handling unauthorized emails and provides reports. DKIM adds a digital signature to your email to verify the authenticity of it. And MX directs the incoming emails into your server. It's really important that those 4 are configured. It will help your spam score. You can certainly search for places that websites that will verify this for you. Most of the cold software I'm going to recommend will validate these for you anyway, but those 4 things, make sure they're covered off. So the domains you bought, it used to be you could just leave them blank or forward them to another domain. Again, that's something that's likely going to be picked up as spam if there's not a website for each one. Yeah, it's lengthy, it's a pain, but I'd recommend at least having 1-page website. And what do I mean by a page? It can just be a blank page with a couple of paragraphs of text on it, enough to know that one of the ESPs looks at that domain and sees it as a website. It doesn't think, hey, is this spam? There's no website connected to this email address. One of the other things you can do is mask that domain to another website, and I'll put a link in the description below on how you can do that. We won't be covering that today. So now you've got your email addresses, they're configured, you've got a website. We need to warm up that inbox. We need to warm these email addresses up. And what do I mean by that? It means use them. So that might be you're sending emails somewhere and they respond and open it, and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. So the ESPs have a track record of this email address being used, right? You don't go from a brand new email to sending out 500 a day. That's a surefire way of saying, hey, I'm a spam email. Generally, it takes 60 days to warm up an email address. Again, some of these platforms I'm going to suggest to you do this for you. You might want to have some of the emails sending out cold emails and then some of them being warmed up and just cycle through. You can by all means do that. You can also look through various websites the spam score for your email address. Again, if you search for that, you can just put your email address in, you'll get a score. So there's a way of checking on the health of your email address. Anyway, recommend it warming it up for at least 4 to 6 weeks and then start off small. If you take my earlier example and you've got 5 domains with 3 email addresses, if you're sending 10 a day from each email, that's 150, right? That's more than enough. So again, the rule here is to try and make your email look as natural as possible. The less like spam, the more like a natural human would be doing, sending them emails back and forth, the better. That's going to really keep your spam score down low. So what are we going to say in our email? Well, we need a sequence. I'd recommend somewhere between 3 and 5. My experience, 80% of responses come from the second email I send out. So don't get too disheartened by the first email. We need an intriguing subject line. This is really important. The subject is just there to make someone open the email. We don't need to put all the information into the subject line. It just needs to be intriguing enough that someone's going to click and open it. Once they've opened it, we need to explain why them. Why have we reached out to them? Who are we? I think as a business owner, we need to talk about the future. What does that mean? What do we intend to do with their company? And then ultimately we need a CTA, a call to action. This needs to be really simple. Don't have it something lengthy like click here and go here and book a call. It can be something simple as reply yes, and I'll be in touch to book a call with you. Make it really easy for the business owner to respond to you. There needs to be an opt-out in there. I'd actually recommend not putting an undescribed link in there, because that's a surefire way to tell an ESP that you're either a promotion or spam. I'd put something in there along the lines of, if you don't want to hear from me again, or if this is not of interest to you, then respond with the word no thank you, or whatever that might be. Make it possible for them to unsubscribe, to not hear back from you again, but don't make it look like an unsubscribe, right? We need to make this look like an actual email. And it's really important here that we test. So test what we say. And we can do that. A lot of the programs I'm going to recommend let you do split testing or A/B testing. So we can put 2 variations of an email to test. We will send them out and we'll use version A or version B, depending on which one has the most success. And then we might put another version of it into the mix and keep going until we get really confident that we are working with the best possible email. In terms of testing, I think you probably need to think about the time of day you send it out. I tend to find late morning, early afternoon works quite well. You're looking just before and after lunchtime. I would certainly send the emails at least 5 days apart, no sooner than that. And there are websites, if you search for, that will spam check your email content. So you want to avoid spammy words in your email like reward or return on money or dollars ? There's very unusual things that can be flagged as spam. We need to remember that this email needs to look like the sort of thing people are sending back and forth to each other all day, every day. If you look at the last 20 emails you sent out through work, what did they look like? What's the length of that email? And think about, how can I make my email look as natural as possible? Now, the most important part of the cold email is what I call the hook. So I'm going to put something in there really personal to the business owner. So that might be something about a recent project the company did, or an award they found, or anything that shows them that this is not a mass communication. This is, I put some thought into this email that I'm sending out to them. I want them to know it's really personal. It isn't, right? We're sending thousands of them. So how do we do that? Recently, I've been using AI. So I had a bot that would look up all the links from my data. So look up the LinkedIn profile, it look up the website, it might look up the personal Twitter page of someone, and then write an opening message to that person based on all those information that it had. I found now that AI has got really good at detecting AI, and it's not working so much now. So I've gone back to an older method whereby I used to have a VA. I'd send them a sheet of all my contacts, the names of the company, the name of the owner, and the website, and just get them to manually write a hook. So click on the website, have a look on it, find something unique and interesting to say about that business, write that hook, and then that gets mail merged effectively into the email. So the email software takes in the name of the business owner, so then when you've got the hooks written, they'll be in a sheet. So we import that along with all the other data, such as company name, phone number, email address, hook, and we drop that into the email. That will go out as a very personalized email. So what software do I use? At this moment in time, I'd say Instantly.ai is probably the best in terms of value for money and features. I think if you're just starting out, Woodpecker is a good beginner's software. You've got Smart Leads, Lemlist. I'll put a link below. You can check them out. I'd recommend starting with Woodpecker if you're really new. If you've done some cold email before, you're confident about this, then jump into Instantly. I'll keep the links below. So one of the questions I get asked a lot about emails recently is tracking. Do I track them? And what do I mean by track them? That is, I can see whether someone's opened the email or not. I don't do that anymore. Reason being is that although we're losing that information, we don't know if someone's opened it. The tracking link hidden within the email is another chance for the ESP to pick it up as spam. So you can use it, but you're putting that additional risk into the email. Personally, I only now track replies. I don't track open rate. Well, obviously I look at deliverability and bounce rate, which we'll cover later. So should you send links in your email? Again, I tend not to. It's another chance for an ESP to think that it's a spam email. I used to have a link to a personal website that talks a little bit about me. I don't do that anymore. I think if you are going to put a link in, then putting a link into a known website like YouTube, I think that's fine. I think if you've got a sales letter, linking it to Google Doc, that's fine. Here we need to do maximum delivery into the inbox, so as plain as possible. So let's summarize what we've been through. So we've got brand new domains, emails that we don't use for business. We're just using them for cold email. We've warmed them up. Emails have gone back and forth. We've got the data of who to contact. We've then verified that data, so we know that the emails are genuine. We've got a sequence of emails, somewhere between 3 and 5. We picked an email software like Instantly. We've got the hooks into that email, and then we're good to go. It's a really simple, scalable method. Not as good as it was, unfortunately, but it certainly works. And that was cold email in very basic terms. And talking of basic, that's the way to win. Keep it really, really basic. I hope this has been useful. If you'd like my team to run this for you, then there's a link in the description. If you want to book a call with me to discuss it, there's a link for that too. Thank you for watching.